to another episode of BUA. I'm your host, Heru Adamu. Here we talk war, love, finance, politics, health, and everything in between. Let's get into it. First up, we're getting into a discussion between Candace Owens and Myron about feminism. How has modern feminism changed American society? Let's take a look.
Kind of given how society is now, how do you see feminism today with young women? And then what do you predict is going to happen in the next 5-10 years? Are we getting better? Is it getting worse? What are your thoughts in general on that?
So I was actually very interested in Tate culture, I guess I'm going to call it. So I'm going to put you in that orbit of Tate culture, all of these male influencers that were coming out and calling girls bitchs and hoes and all this stuff. And people sat back and were like, oh my God, this is horrible, whatever. But I'm like, wait a second, whatever you think about him, whatever you think about Tristan, whatever you think about Myron, this culture got very big very quickly, and there's got to be something there, right? There has to be. So that was the reason why I flew out to meet Andrew Tate. There was all these conspiracies that I knew him before and all. I met Andrew a total of 2 times before I did his show. My husband hung out with him maybe 3 times in his life before him and I met. He was actually friends with PJW. And that's how I met Andrew.
Gotcha.
Like, so my husband was actually friends with PJW. And I just wanted to know what it was, because I'm never a person that will dismiss something on its face and call it a name. Like, there has to be some substance here. And what was actually happening was you got Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate and you got Myron Gaines because you perpetuated a culture of Lena Dunhams, right? So you're acting like men just got tired of it, is what happened. And finally, men looked around and somebody stood up and said, it's actually okay to be a man and you don't have to listen to any of these women. Now, you may not have liked how they said it. You may not have liked that they were doing this on top of Lamborghinis. But the reality is that what sat beneath that was a horribly toxic culture where women were dictating the terms to men. And every time a man did something that actually felt natural to them, you called it toxic masculinity, and books were written, and Lena Dunham's writing articles, and there's a show about this, and Lena Dunham's naked on Instagram. I wrote a whole chapter about Lena Dunham in my book, and she's naked on Instagram, and she's lecturing you if you don't want to see her, overweight, naked, and tatted up. So you can't blame the culture, Tate culture, until you are ready to address where this actually came from, which was women constantly bashing men over the head and telling them that masculinity, full stop, was wrong.
So Candace touches on a few issues here in American society. I mean, feminism, which was originally started as like a liberation movement, has moved like unintentionally into something that's really damaged the family culture, relationship dynamics, and gender accountability overall. How it relates to the Black community is this initial liberation movement was started by white women who really were fed up with their counterparts and basically their hierarchy and position amongst white people. So I think Black women took this on as a position for them, and feminism has really turned into something more so like misandry. So they're always preaching like misogyny, which is the hate of women, which it's more so like misandry going on. It's a lot more hate for men these days. And that's due to this movement, which was created by white women because they were tired of listening to their husbands. And since they're seen as the superior culture, Black women want to be like them, so they follow suit, therefore turning themselves into the Black man's enemy by default. So I think she touched on some controversial points. The fact that feminism historically was rooted in a white woman's movement, it didn't always prioritize the Black family. So dating and relationships are really difficult right now. Men are having a hard time dating, finding women. Women are not attracted to men overall at this current moment. They're just not overall attracted to men. I mean, women date horizontally and upwards. But at this point, there's so much disillusion with where things are due to social media and the feminist era that we're in, that I look at it like women are only dating up at this current moment, but what is up is the question, So we're in a society that's run by gay white men. So, I mean, they kind of set the standard for what up is. So women are not even attracted to masculine men at this current moment in time. So it's very interesting. Like, women actually embrace, especially Black women in the Black community, they embrace gay men and degenerate men before they embrace strong, competent men. Next, we're shifting into a powerful and uncomfortable conversation between Charleston White and Tasha K surrounding mental health laws and state authority.
I went and got all my guns and backed my car up and held security for that family while they can sleep in their driveway. When I drove away, the police pulled me over for a broken tail light and I disappeared. Yeah, I disappeared. They took me to jail. When I was in jail, I called my attorney, Lisa Pampers. I said, Lisa, man, these motherfuckers just brought me to jail for a broken tail light. She said, what? She said, don't say nothing, I'm on my way. About 30, 40 minutes later, these same officers come. I said, man, what the fuck these motherfuckers did? They had a stack of my social media posts where I've been talking about police need to die. Prior to him dying, I said that I hope a police officer die in the line of duty in the name of Jesus. And I posted that on Facebook. And Hug got killed. So they took me to jail, and from jail they transferred me to a mental asylum under the Sandra Bland Act. Me up. I said, man, y'all finna lose y'all motherfucking jobs. I went to the mental asylum from jail to the mental asylum under the Sandra Bland Act, Senate bill or something. So our government have given our police the power to take you to a mental asylum.
And you can never be seen again.
Never be seen again. You can be civilly committed forever.
This raises concerns about how legislation like Sandra Bland Act can be used and potentially abused. When it comes to diagnosing and detaining Black individuals under a label of mental instability, the fear they express is this: that system designed for protection may also become a tool for surveillance, control, and forced institutionalization, often without full public awareness or family notifications. This segment forces us to ask, are these safeguards truly protecting or quietly expanding the power over vulnerable communities? Now, let's talk money, because if you're not paying attention to your money in this market, you're already behind. We've tapped into some commentary from EYL podcast. They discussed the current real estate market, interest rates, and the shift from easy money to strategic investing.
1 in 3 Manhattan condos sold in the past year for a loss. 33% of the condos sold in Manhattan over the last year sold for a loss.
Okay.
Home delistings jumped 28% year over year, the biggest spike in a decade. About 57% of all homes sold this year had at least one price cut. Home values in top tier metro areas are down 2.5% year over year. The typical price cut is now 3.7 below asking price. Homes now sit an average of 73 days on the market. That's up 20%. Nearly 70% of active listings are sale 60 plus days unsold. 5.5% of listings were withdrawn in September, highest in at least a decade. Over 2.7% of U.S. homes changed owners this year, lowest turnover since the 1990s, and U.S. home prices are up only 1.3% year over year, meaning appreciation has stalled. So maybe we can get MG, the mortgage guy, on here before the end of the year. But
that'd be great.
Very disturbing.
But with that being said, you still love real estate, don't you, Rashad?
100%. 100%. But extremely disturbing stats when it comes to American real estate.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that say about the times that we're in?
There's a readjustment in the market. But even though while there's a readjustment in the market, home prices are only going to continue to go up. I was talking to Ish about this on the way here. And 5 years ago in Houston, you can probably get 5-bedroom, 6-bedroom for $500 to $700,000. Those same properties are now going for 1.2, and the inflation hasn't been as high here as in comparison to Miami and New York. It would be a mistake to wait another 5 or 6 or 7 years to buy something because the value is going to go up. Are we stalling? Yes. Is money slowing down? Yes, but over time, as with any good investment, the value of the property is going to go up.
But I also think it speaks to something that the people can't afford to buy a home.
I think that was the point I was going to touch
So
on.
that's
The affordability of it.
That says a lot about the economy, right? As far as I think this says a lot about a variety of different things, bigger than just real estate. Inflation.
Well, BlackRock, let's be very honest.
Well, it's inflation. They've caused inflation.
They've caused inflation.
Inflation. You got inflation. You got staggering wages.
For sure.
You have staggering levels of net worth.
Interest rates rose.
Interest rates. But that all goes into the fact that people can't afford to buy houses. And if they can't afford to buy houses, that's a trickle down effect on a variety of different things that you should be seeing maybe potentially soon in the economy, because we're still in a K-shaped economy right now. Your Black Friday spending was at all-time highs. But still feel like a large portion of this spending is getting done by the wealthy people, not by the average everyday person.
Yeah, so I mean, we're seeing deals dry up, buyers pull back, sellers hold firm, and this creates an opportunity for people who understand the cycles. But for people who don't, they're just going to continue to really take losses. So, like he said, we're in a K market. People are continuing to consume. I don't think people have money, especially like the millennial class, Generation Z, and anybody really under the age of like 45, maybe even 50. You know, even have the money to buy a property or even an investment. So when people don't have money to buy like real investments, they just actually spend more money on consumerism, like going out to shop for Christmas, Black Friday, things like that. Because I mean, people want to spend money to feel relevant, to feel good about themselves. And if they can't buy like an actual asset that's going to appreciate or bring them some type of value, because you're not going to get all your money back, they'd rather spend it on something they can have right now and consume. So I think these are signals of, and like they said, BlackRock and other hedge funds and bigger equity groups are buying up a lot of property. Not to mention the printing of more US dollars causing inflation. It just takes away more money from the poor people, and it actually gives more opportunity to people who already have the equity. So it's kind of crazy, really. So, but like he said, home prices are going to continue to go up, and if you can find a way to make more money to invest, this is the time to actually buy into the market, because it's not gonna. People are stalling and waiting for interest rates, but things are not gonna go back to how they were. They're just gonna continue to grow, and there's gonna be more cycles. So you have to get in at some point. You know what I mean? So it's not as though you're waiting to get in until the market is perfect. The market's never gonna be perfect. It's just like the stock market. It's always going up and down. It's just like people that have old money and real equity, they've already been in, so they have leverage to buy with better interest rates and buy more and make relevant money. When you have $5 or $100 to invest, it's like, I don't even have enough money to make enough money back on those returns. I might as well spend this $100 on some Jordans or something like that. So it's like, but if you don't buy the Jordans and you take the $100 and invest in S&P 500 and just invest $100 every month, you know, you will eventually get out of that hole and have an opportunity to make a bigger investment. And you'll learn through that as well. And you're learning with small increments instead of big increments. Instead of losing $100,000, you just lose $100 and you learn. You know what I mean? So the current market we're in is just really, really crazy. But at the end of the day, everything I see indicates that the rich is just getting richer and the poor is just getting poorer. So if you don't have the money to play, then you really can't even play the game at this point, you know. And then to add in AI covering all of these law jobs and accounting jobs and stuff, I mean, people may not even have jobs in 2027. So you might have to have an investment. It's looking like you might have to have assets in order to even survive moving forward, because there won't be any jobs. So you'll have to have something. So like I said, if you don't have a lot to start getting invested, you don't need a lot. You just have to start somewhere, and even if it's not a lot of return, at least you learn. And so when you have more and you make more, you can do bigger deals that make you more money. So finally, we're closing in the world of sports and business. Former NBA player Matt Barnes and Curtis Malone have sounded the alarm on AAU basketball. It's become fully transactional, and it's basically driven by agents, brands, and exposure more than just player development. With the explosion of NIL deals, some high school and college athletes are now making 6 and even 7 figures before turning pro. So here's the real question. Do these young athletes need formal union or legal protection to prevent exploitation? Or is it simply a free market at work?
And I mean, we talked about this earlier. I mean, you remember I was getting a little bit of money at UCLA, but when I got to the pros, it was like I burned through my first 3 or 4 years like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of money. So it's only natural. And I was in my early to mid 20s. It's only natural for a teenage kid that doesn't have to come from nothing to not know nothing. Parents probably don't know nothing. With all this money, a couple 100,000, 500,000, $1 million thrown at you, it's natural to me to take your foot off the gas. It's natural to lose focus. It's natural to lose that drive because you have everything now that you used to have to get to.
Exactly.
And you got it before you really even
Yeah.
earned it, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, AAU was for development, for kids to have a chance to get a scholarship so they can have a higher education, so that they can possibly get a job in the marketplace and maybe go pro, play overseas or play in the NBA. But today's time, it's like these kids are getting paid in high school. They're getting paid to play on AAU teams where you used to have to pay to play on an AAU team. They're getting paid. I mean, you have sponsored teams, Reebok, Nike, things like that. But now these kids are actually getting paid in high school for their likeliness. And I want the kids to get paid. But I think Curtis Malone mentioned in his interview later that like he thinks they're getting paid too much, which it kind of sounds like he's hating on them. But if you really think about it, they're just kids. And what are they going to do with the money anyways? You know, even like young professional athletes from between 19 and 25, 27 years old, they're just kids. 85% of professional athletes go broke after their professional career because they don't have any guidance, any protection, and like I said, any formal union. I think there needs to be a union I think there is an AAU union, but there needs to be a black union address for these kids that receive money in high school and college to know, like, you know, basically have access to accounting, business structure, understanding taxes, basically just having access to like tax advisors and accountants that are really working in these guys' favor so they can learn how to pay zero taxes and beat the tax system and keep some of that money in the black community so they can build. Shout out to, you know, Jaylen Brown. I think he's the head of the NBA Players Association. He got a $300 million contract with Boston, and he said that he was going to build black wealth with that money. So he's been doing a lot of things. He's a great example for the youth to look at. I think he graduated from Ivy League with like a 4.0. So, I mean, some of our greatest black leaders are athletes. They just a lot of the time are in a system where they can't be in leadership or say the things that they want to do. But with the money is power. So even though you can't speak out and you might get fined or you might get Colin Kaepernick kicked out the league, you don't have to say anything. You can actually just take your money and put your money where your mouth is and have power that way. But instead, we spend a lot of our money on materials and fun and just a bunch of bullshit, really. So I think we just got to reallocate that money, unionize, make sure that kids that's getting $1 million in college that don't go pro are able to keep that money so they can open up businesses and provide job opportunities to the community. So today with BUA, that's all I got for you. We're for the culture, for the control, to the money in sports. The systems are changing fast and awareness is new currency. So if you learned something today, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this episode. It's Heru Adamu. I'm out. I'll see y'all next time.